A 25-year-old commander, with an army that had just watched two Roman generals die in the same campaign, is about to attack a fortress city defended by three separate enemy armies scattered across the region, and take it in a single day. 209 BCE, New Carthage, Spain. Cartagena today. His name is Publius Cornelius Scipio, 25 years old. No general in Rome's history has ever held this level of command at this age. He commands roughly 25,000 men. Inside the city walls, barely 1,000 defenders, but surrounding the region within a few days' march in any direction, three full Carthaginian armies, over 50,000 men combined, any one of which could crush Scipio's force if they arrive before he finishes what he's about to start. To every Carthaginian commander in Spain, this doesn't look like an attack. It looks like a young general making the same mistake that killed his father and his uncle 2 years earlier. By every rule of ancient warfare, striking the most heavily fortified city in Carthaginian Spain with no siege equipment, no reinforcements, and three enemy armies within reach should be the last mistake Scipio ever makes. Now watch what happens. By nightfall, New Carthage will belong to Rome. Not after a siege, not after weeks of starvation. In a single day, because Scipio knows something about this city that no Carthaginian garrison commander thought to ask the local fishermen. How does a 25-year-old with no siege experience take Carthage's best defended city in Spain in one afternoon, while three armies large enough to destroy him are close enough to interfere? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how. To understand why Scipio is standing outside this city at all, you need to understand what happened to Rome's war in Spain 2 years earlier. In 211 BCE, Rome's two commanders in Spain, Publius Scipio and his brother Gnaeus, the father and uncle of the young general now leading this attack, were both killed within weeks of each other, their armies shattered in separate defeats. Spain, the theater Rome had spent years fighting to hold, was on the verge of collapse. Carthage's three armies in the region outnumbered anything Rome had left to send. Back in Rome, the Senate faces a problem nobody wants to solve. "We need a new commander for Spain," one senator says. "Someone experienced, someone the legions will trust after what just happened there." Silence follows. Nobody volunteers. Two respected generals just died leading that same army, and the region is now considered close to a death sentence for whoever takes the command next. Then a young man stands in the assembly, 24 years old at the time. His father and uncle are the men who were just killed. "I will go," Scipio says. "You are 24, someone answers from the crowd. "You have held no major command. I am the only man in this room willing to stand here and say yes." Nobody else volunteers. The assembly, more out of desperation than confidence, grants him command. Scipio arrives in Spain the following year to an army that is demoralized, understrength, and led by a man everyone assumes is too young and too inexperienced to matter. Rather than attempting to fight all three Carthaginian armies at once, the mistake that killed his father and uncle, he spends months quietly gathering intelligence, and what he learns changes everything. New Carthage, the Carthaginian capital in Spain, is lightly garrisoned. Most of Carthage's Spanish forces are spread out fighting elsewhere on the peninsula, none of them within immediate reach of the city. Inside those walls, the region's silver mines, its main supply depot, its war treasury, and, critically, the Spanish hostages Carthage holds to guarantee the loyalty of local tribes. Take the city, and Scipio doesn't just win a battle. He wins the mines, the money, and the hostages that keep half of Spain obedient to Carthage. "If we march on New Carthage now, while the other armies are scattered," Scipio tells his officers, "we could take it before any of them arrive to stop us." "It's 10 days from the nearest Carthaginian relief force," one officer says. "Maybe 7 if they force the march." "Then we don't have 10 days, we have less." Scipio tells almost no one the actual target until the army is already moving. Speed and secrecy are the entire plan. If word reaches any of the three Carthaginian armies before he's inside the walls, he's a young general with 25,000 men caught between a fortress and 3 approaching relief columns. The march is brutal. Scipio pushes the army hard along the coast, timing the arrival to coincide with support from the Roman fleet under his commander Laelius, arriving by sea at the same moment his land force reaches the walls. New Carthage sits on a peninsula, walls rising on 3 sides facing the sea, and a narrow neck of land connecting it to the mainland on the 4th. On paper, it's an extremely difficult position to assault quickly, the kind of geography that turns a siege into a months-long standoff. Scipio has been asking a very specific question of local fishermen for days. "The lagoon on the northern side," he asks one of them. "How deep does it run at low tide?" "Barely a man's waist most afternoons," the fisherman answers. "Sometimes less." It empties out toward evening, this time of year. Every Carthaginian defender inside those walls has built their entire defense around the assumption that the lagoon is impassable, a natural extension of the seawall that needs no soldiers guarding it because no army wades through a lagoon to attack a fortified city. Scipio has just found the one place nobody is watching. At dawn, the assault begins on the land side first. A full, loud, visible attack against the city's strongest defenses, the walls facing the isthmus. It's brutal, and it's meant to be. Every defender the garrison commander, Mago, has is pulled toward that wall to meet it. They're throwing everything at the main gate. A Carthaginian officer reports, "Do we pull men from the lagoon side?" "There's nothing to defend on the lagoon side," Mago answers. "Reinforce the wall." By afternoon, the tide has dropped, just as the fisherman described. Scipio orders a second force, quietly held in reserve all morning, into the shallow water of the lagoon, wading toward the weakest, least defended stretch of wall in the entire city. To his own soldiers, wading through water that should not be crossable, Scipio frames it as something more than local knowledge. "Neptune himself has shown us this path," he tells the men entering the water. "The god of the sea does not open a road like this for just anyone." Whether Scipio believes it or simply understands exactly what his soldiers need to hear at that moment, the effect is the same. Men who might have hesitated wading into open water under a fortress wall move forward without breaking stride. The lagoon-side assault reaches the base of the wall almost completely unopposed. Ladders go up against stone that has effectively no defenders on it at all. "They're inside! They're coming over the north wall!" a defender shouts, too late for it to matter. With soldiers now pouring over the lightly defended lagoon wall while the garrison remains locked in a desperate fight at the main gate, the defense collapses from two directions at once. Roman soldiers open the main gate from the inside. What was supposed to be an unassailable fortress falls apart in hours. Mago attempts to organize a final defense in the city center and is overwhelmed. By evening, New Carthage, Carthage's principal base in Spain, belongs to Rome. The haul is staggering. The silver mines that funded Carthage's war effort in Spain. War material, ships, siege equipment captured intact. And the Spanish hostages, sons and daughters of tribal leaders across the region, held by Carthage as insurance against rebellion. Scipio does something with those hostages that no Carthaginian commander would have considered. He treats them with open generosity, feeding them, housing them properly, and in one widely retold case, personally returning a captured noblewoman to her betrothed, untouched and unransomed, refusing payment entirely. Word spreads across Spain within weeks. The tribes who obeyed Carthage out of fear now have a reason to consider Rome instead. He could have ransomed every one of them. A Spanish chieftain says, hearing the reports. He gave them back for nothing. Then maybe it's worth finding out what else he's offering, another answers. Tribe after tribe begins shifting allegiance toward Rome. Not because Scipio defeated them in battle, but because he showed them something Carthage never had, a reason to trust him. In a single day, a 25-year-old with no prior independent command captured Carthage's wealth, its war supplies, its diplomatic leverage over an entire region, and turned the local population against the empire that had ruled them for a generation. 3 Carthaginian armies, each large enough to have destroyed him, never even arrived in time to matter. The war in Spain, which Rome had been on the verge of losing 2 years earlier, has just turned completely, and the young general nobody in the Senate wanted to send is about to spend the next 3 years proving New Carthage wasn't luck. It was the opening move of the campaign that will end with Hannibal himself defeated an ocean away. Watch the Battle of Ilipa now.